Most finance teams still track prepaid expenses on a manual spreadsheet. One tab per contract, different formulas for every accountant who ever touched it. Let a month close process that involves copying numbers by hand. This template solves that problem. One input a row per contract, daily amortization that runs automatically, running balances, GL codes, refund handling, validation log, all in one file. Today I'm walking you through both versions. Free one, you can download it right now, and a premium version which adds Power Query reporting layer, pre-built dashboard, and I will show you what is in each, what differences actually are, and who needs it which. Let's go. So I have two versions of the prepayment template, a professional prepayment template. One is free and one is premium. So this one is free and this one is premium. There are differences, not core differences. So in the free version, you get, of course, the cover tab, instruction, input tab, output tab, and validation log. So it takes care of all core needs for a prepayment amortization for any accountant. But here the maximum number of prepayment contract you enter is 10. So if you go to cover tab, here there is a note here. Ideally, if you had a premium version, this particular check, balance check, would be 0. It would be passing as per the formula. So here you can read the note. Free template only allows 10 contracts for amortization in output tab. If you add more than 10 contracts here, the output tab will only calculate 10. Okay, so it will take the first 10 in a sorting order and then calculate the output, the amortization. So to have more contracts calculation done properly and accurately, you need to upgrade to a pro version. So let's go to pro version and I will walk you through the prepayment schedule. So again, in the free version, you get the core functionality, but with the limitation of maximum 10 contracts. And you just input the details here. Suppose you don't want to have more than 10 contracts for prepayment amortization. You can have this template, add the 10 rows, 10 contracts, and run amortization like this. And you get the output. Ideally, you should always clear out the output. So I would do that and then run the amortization, and you will have the amortization for the 10 prepayment contract. And if you enter anything which is invalid, there would be a validation log here. For example, if you go and I delete the date or amount like this, and I clear the output first, and you will see this kind of validation error, and you'll see hard errors. It will block until it is fixed. So the calculation won't run, as you can see on the screen. So this is a professional grade spreadsheet. So it takes care of all kind of gotchas. So let's undo everything and input the correct date. Here we'll input any dummy invoice number. And then clear output and run amortization. And if you go back to validation, there is nothing there. That means the input was valid, except the one thing I mentioned. Since you have entered here more than 10 contracts, which I have done intentionally, because this particular free version only calculates the output or amortization for 10 contracts. So if I go here and I'll show you, we have total 15 rows or 15 contracts for prepayment, and I have sorted them. And if I go here, and since it's a tabular format, it is stacked up, the calculation. But if I go here and type unique function, you will see maximum top 10 contracts. So it will calculate up till here. These 10 contracts will be calculated and rest of the 5 will be ignored because of the limitation of the free version. Okay, so let's move to the premium version. Again, if you want to test the product, you can still download it completely free. And if you want to have a more contracts for prepayment and do more than just this free version does, you can upgrade to pro version. So this is the premium version of pro version. I will start with the basics. So both versions starts at the same place, the cover sheet. You set 4 things here: company name, today's date, your financial year start month, and name of the staff member running this particular file. This is all the setup the template needs. Below is the color convention. Blue fonts means hard-coded input. Black font is a calculated value. Green font is a cross sheet link. Yellow fills means you should edit this cell. If you follow this consistently, anyone who picks up the file later will know immediately what to touch and what to leave alone. Then the model checks. There are three numbers are for you to self-audit. The total period, the total prepayment entered on the input sheet, total amortization calculated on the output sheet, and the balance check, it tells whether it pass or fails. So if you see pass, every contract balance to zero by the end of its life. If you see fail, something is wrong in your input. The validation log will tell you where. So here if you see, this is the validation. So your total prepayment and total amortization should always match. And it also checks the inputs. So here I have taken the same example of 15 rows, but since this is a premium version, all 15 rows or all this prepayment will be calculated correctly in the output. Now you can read the instruction here. They are very detailed and well organized. It shows everything, what you need to do, what you need not to do. If you read it correctly and understand it, your life will be very easy and you'll be smoothly managing this particular prepayment file. The input sheet is identical as I mentioned across both versions. 1 row per period for contract, 16 columns. Let me walk you through that ones really matter. Contract ID is your unique reference. Use a consistent format here. I use category prefix, year, and sequence number, that is INS 2024-007 here. And this is for AXA insurance contract entered in 2024. Start date, end date, these two dates. Define the full contract period. So you must enter this properly. Critical point, even if your contract is terminated early, you keep this original end date here. You handle the early exit separately using the termination date, which is here. That separation is what makes the daily rate engine precise. Prepayment amount is always the gross amount and paid in upfront. Never net off refund here. The engine handles the refund separately. Amortization period is auto calculation, which is based on these two dates, start date and end date. Do not touch it, please, because it's a formula. The status has three values. So active, terminated, and expired. Terminated means it ended early. Expired means it ran its full term. The engine behaves differently for each. When the status is terminated, two more columns activate: the termination date and refund method. Termination date is the day the contract ended and the refund was received. Refund method is either auto or manual. So if you go here, refund method, auto means the system calculates the unused days refund at the original daily rate. Manual means you received a different amount from the vendor. You enter that in the manual refund column, which is here. So if you select manual, you must have a value here. GL code maps every output row for your chart of account. So GL code and GL name. This what makes the output sheet usable for direct journal entry import. Every line knows exactly which GL account it belongs to. The free version ships with 15 sample contracts as I showed you, covering insurance, software, rent, marketing, maintenance, legal, IT, security, and training. Mix of active, terminated, and expired. Also, auto and manual refunds both present in the free version as well. Enough of this variety to see full range of what this particular prepayment engine worksheet does. Now we'll go to the output tab. This is where the engine lives. Every row in output sheet is the one contract in 1 month. The daily rate is prepayment amount divided by total number of days in a contract period, not divided by months, divided by days. This is the difference between this and the simple straight line monthly split. Why does it matter? For example, February, a 12-month contract starting on 1st January runs 360 days in a leap year. A simple monthly split gives 1 divided by 12 every month. The daily rate engine gives you exactly 28 days or 29 days worth of cost for February and 31 days for January and March. This is the correct treatment under IFRS and US GAAP frameworks. Every row shows daily rate, days in a month, and a monthly charge. So this is the monthly charge, daily rate, days in a month. Only actual days used are charged. The refund auto column shows unused days balance being recovered automatically. For the Bahrain Bay Development Warehouse contract in the free version, the contract was terminated on 20th February. The system charged 15 days of February, then showed the auto refund on the same row. Closing balance goes to 0, clean. This output table has a 16 columns including GL code, GL name, on every single row. That means you can filter this entire table by GL account and get complete amortization schedule for every single account without pivot, without macro, just a filter. So this is the beauty of data design. So this is done through Power Query. Here is the Power Query table. Before that, we go to validation log. Validation log is the quality control layer. When you run the template, it checks every row on the input sheet, which is here. It checks every row on the input sheet for data integrity errors, missing fields, invalid date sequences, end date before start date, terminated contract without a termination date, zero negative prepaid amounts. When it finds a problem, it writes a row here, that is in this particular sheet, and the row number and the contract ID, the field in the question, the issue description, the severity level, and a timestamp. In both versions, this sheet is empty because sample data is clean. In your practical case, meaning in the production, if you see a balance check on the cover sheet fail, which is here, if it is a fail, you should probably go to validation log. It will show you the real reason what is wrong and what you need to correct to get this particular cell as a pass, which is really critical. Now we'll move to report PQ table. This is where the two versions diverge, that is free and premium. The report PQ sheet is a Power Query output table. It takes everything from the output sheet, which is here, and transform into a analytics ready flat file. The output sheet, which is this. The output sheet has one row per contract per month with monthly charge, refund, opening and closing balance in all separate columns. That is a correct for a schedule, but it is difficult to slice and aggregate into pivot because your measures are spread across multiple columns. Report PQ unpivots all of that. Every contract every month now has a 7 rows instead of 1. 1 row each for opening balance, monthly charge, refund auto, refund manual, total refund, net charge, and closing balance. I'm referring to this column. I am zooming in. The amount column holds the value. On top of that, it adds the time intelligence you need for reporting. Month dates as the proper date field, period label for display purpose, year column, quarter column, year quarter column, month number column, and month name column. These are the fields a pivot table needs to group by quarter, by year, or build a proper time series. The practical impact once this table is loaded into Power Query, you can build any pivot report you want from a single data source. Filter by category, by GL code, by vendor, by quarter. The table handles it all because every dimension is already a column. This is a foundation for a solid dashboard build. So this is done through Power Query. So if I go ahead and show you here, we have two Power Query connection. The source for this prepaid amortization report is that output table, which I showed you. And there is another table for simplified prepayment amount tracking, which I will show you. So both of this particular query connection have the one source, that is amortization output. So I have tried my best to make it robust. As long as you don't change any field or any column structure in the input file and your entire output runs without any error, these queries will work very smoothly without any error, irrespective of your business scenario, any kind of data you enter, especially in the premium version of prepayment schedule. So I'll close and load. So we have these two outputs. One is report PQ, which is this. So if I select this, you'll see which tab. And this is a smaller version, which is a replica of the input sheet, but it helps us in create a prepayment table with which you can track prepayment amount every period, that is month, quarter, year end. Now this is the dashboard where you can see the date slicer, which is for the period, and the first table is GL analysis and movement. So it starts with category, vendor, GL code, GL name, all coming from this particular Power Query table, report IQ. And here you can see the nature, opening balance, monthly charge, refund auto, refund manual, and closing balance. So this amount also you can track differently. This amount also you can track differently. So this is more of a GL version or general ledger matching kind of table, which you can always check with your own ERP while you are putting journal entries at the month end for the prepayments. So this is for entire prepayment schedule. And if you go down, we have a net P&L charge for the prepayment expenditure in the period. So If I go here and check this amount, which is negative 4658.47, is also here. So this shows your prepayment expenditure in the period. For example, in January 24, we have 19,000 or 19.5K. In February, we have 27.5K and so on. And below is a separate pivot table, which is coming from this particular Power Query table, which is showing you the prepayment done in a month or in a period. So for example, it is showing how much prepayment we are doing upfront, or you can also add a date, which is a start date. So let's add that here, and we need to remove the grouping. Let's ungroup and change the date format. So now it shows on the date wise how much prepayment has been happening. So it shows the date on which the prepayment has happened. It shows the start date. So here, just to clear the confusion, this is not the start date or a period. This could be any amount. For example, let me start this by 15th or 17th March 2024. In the 12-month period, it could be any month. Maybe it's for a fraction of the month. But to keep things simple, we can change this to exit 12 month. So if I add 366 days, or let's add 364 days, we have exit full period, right? We have exit period of 12 months. So I'll save this, I'll clear output, and I run the amortization. So if I go to output, and let's trace that, this particular prepayment, we go here, the prepayment is calculated accurately for the 17 days only, and here it ends with that 16 days. So you can enter any amount in the start date. Basically, this is the date on which you have made the prepayment, or that date when the prepayment amortization should start in your books of account according to your fiscal year and agreement with the vendor and the services you're going to consume for that prepayment. So let's go to dashboard. Since we have made changes, we need to save and refresh. So Power Query picks up the new date change we just did. Refresh it at least 2-3 times, so the data will be picked up. So if I go to this particular scenario, that is AXA Insurance, here you can see the date 17th March and how much prepayment we did. So this particular table shows the prepayment amount in a year, in a month. So this is a massive amount of 276,800 prepayment in 2024. So this is the premium version of prepayment. I'm pretty sure this is a very useful template for any accountants, even for any auditors who wants to audit their client's prepayment schedule, which could be generated in a sophisticated ERP. And most of the places, the prepayment, especially the small to medium industries, they use Excel based prepayments, Excel or Google Sheet, which is fine. But this kind of template is a professional version, which handles edge cases like refunds, which is really critical. So again, I have mentioned before, refunds are critical when you have an insurance scenario where you have canceled the premium or canceled the policy in mid-period. You need to get refund, and how your prepayment would be done in that particular case. I'm pretty sure a sophisticated ERP would handle that, but for a small to medium businesses or any low grade ERP or something which doesn't have this kind of setup, they will have issues if your prepayments are having a lot of refunds. So this particular tool helps you with that and does the accounting and amortization very accurately and professionally. So thank you so much for watching this video. All the links are in the description of the video. You can go there and learn more about this prepayment schedules, free schedule, and also the premium version. Thank you so much, and I'll come back with more such productivity tool in the future. So subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.